Hello everyone, today I'm going to discuss about definite integrals. But prior to that, recall when we say integration, we mean the inverse process of differentiation. So for differentiation, we are after the derivative. For integration, we are after the antiderivative. Definite integral takes the form integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to b, which is equal to f of b minus f of a. F here refers to the antiderivative of f of x. F, okay, the antiderivative evaluated at b minus, okay, the antiderivative evaluated at a. So where a and b here, a and b are limits of integration. So your definite integral has its limits, and the result of evaluation is always a constant instead of a function. So now we proceed to the different properties of integration. The first property says the integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to b is equal to the negative of the integral of f of x dx evaluated from b to a. So what happened here? We simply shifted the limits. So instead of from a to b, we have from b to a. So this is the same as the first, but just that we take its negative. So it's the negative of the integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to b. So what's the effect of switching the limits? It gives the negative. This is because we are integrating from the opposite direction. Okay, now we move on to property number 2. Number 2 says the integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to a is equal to 0. So if both limits are equal, if the two limits are equal, then the integral will be 0. Once more, if the limits, the upper and the lower limits are equal, then the integral is 0. Next, we have two integrals of the same function over adjacent intervals. Once more, two integrals of the same function over adjacent intervals. Take note, the first has a to b as its limits, and the second has b to c as its limits. The integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to b plus the integral of f of x dx evaluated from b to c is equal to the integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to c. This is the same as saying the area of this, take note of the interval, from a to b plus the area of this region, which is from b to c, is equal to the whole of this. That's after putting together this area and this area. Okay, so that's for property number 3. Property number 4, the integral of c dx evaluated from a to b is simply c, where c is a constant, times the difference between the limits. Once more, the integral of c, here is a constant, c dx is equal to c times the difference between the two limits, b minus a. So to further understand the fourth property, let me give you an example. So for instance, I want you to evaluate the integral of 3dx from 1 to 5. From the property, it says c, which is the constant 3, times the difference between the upper limit and the lower limit, so 5 minus 1, which gives 3 times 4 or 12. Now we can verify this by graphing the function. In our given, the function is f of x is equal to 3. Now let's try to graph this on the Cartesian plane. Okay, let me graph this on the Cartesian plane. Okay, what is the graph of f of x is equal to 3? This is a constant function. F of x is equal to 3 or y is equal to 3 is a horizontal line that passes through the point 0, 3. Okay, so where is that point? So let's say this is 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so a horizontal line that passes through the point 0, 3, this be 1, 2, and then 3. So the graph would look like this. Okay, so this is the function f of x is equal to 3. Take note that when we say integral of, we mean also area bounded by. The boundaries, our limits are 1 to 5. So if I chop it off, so we chop this off at 1 to 5. Notice that we formed a rectangle whose length, okay, the length of the rectangle is 4 and whose width is 3. Therefore, the area of the rectangle, which is length times width, 4 times 3 is equal to 12. And that was our answer a while ago. Okay? So that's it. We now proceed to property number 5. The fifth property says if we are taking the integral of the product of a constant and a function, we can just pull out the constant and then evaluate the integral of the function. So we can simply pull this out and evaluate the integral of the function. Then after integrating the function, evaluated from a to b, then we simply multiply it to this constant c. Then the last property, we have the property that says the integral of the sum of two functions, integral of the sum of two functions over an interval ab is equal to the sum of their integrals over the same interval. So let us apply the different properties in the following examples. Number 1, evaluate the integral of 5 dx from 1 to 7. Number 1, find the integral of 5 dx evaluated from 1 to 7. So to evaluate number 1, we make use of property number 4. Property number 4, which says the integral of c dx evaluated from a to b is simply equal to c times the difference between b and a. So this is simply equal to integral of 5 dx evaluated from 1 to 7 is simply 5 times 7 minus 1, which is 30. Okay, now we move on to number 2. Problem number 2 says solve for the integral of y is equal to the square root of x plus 2x from 4 to 9. Solve the integral of y equal to the square root of x plus 2x from 4 to 9. Now we can rewrite this as, this can be written as the integral of the square root of x plus 2x dx evaluated from 4 to 9. And we can further rewrite this into the integral of, in exponential form, square root of x is x raised to 1/2 plus 2x dx evaluated from 4 to 9. Now, using the power rule or integral of a power, note that we have this rule, x raised to n dx is equal to x raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1, where n is not equal to negative 1. Otherwise, if n is negative 1, then that gives the logarithmic function. And one thing more, if n is negative 1, then the denominator becomes 0. But this is the power rule for integration. Integral of a power, x raised to n dx is equal to x raised to add 1 to the exponent over exponent plus 1. So provided that it satisfies the condition n is not equal to negative 1. So we now apply the rule to this. Applying the rule, this now gives x raised to 1/2 plus 1 over 1/2 plus 1 plus 2 x raised to 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1 evaluated from 4 to 9. So let's simplify this further. This is x raised to 3/2 all over 3/2 plus 2x raised to 2 over 2 evaluated from 4 to 9. Okay, simplifying this further, we can rewrite this into 2 square root of x cubed all over 3. plus, okay, from here we can cancel out 2, giving plus x squared, okay, evaluated from 4 to 9. So we're not done yet. We still have to evaluate. Okay, to evaluate, we simply substitute. Okay, so equals, okay, using the upper limit first. Upper limit, so 2 times the square root of 9 cubed all over 3 plus 9 squared minus, so let's unclose this in a pair of parentheses. We now evaluate using our lower limit, which is 4. So 2 times the square root of 4 cubed all over 3 plus 4 squared. Okay, let's simplify further. What is 9 cubed? 9 cubed is 729. And extract its square root. 9 cubed is 729. And then extract the square root. What is it equal to? 27. Multiply that to 3, or to 2 rather. 27 times 2 is 54. So this one gives 54 divided by 3 plus 81 minus, okay, how about this? 4 cubed, that's 4 times 4, 16 times 4, 64. Square root of 64 is 8. 8 times 2, 16 over 3. So this one is 16 over 3 plus 16. 54 over 3 is equal to 18 plus 81. Okay, so 18 plus 81 minus, let's go back, 16 over 3 plus 16. So minus 16 over 3 plus 16. Now getting rid of the grouping sign, we now have 18 plus 81 minus 16 over 3 minus 16. So we can combine the whole number part. 18 plus 81 is 99. 99 minus 16 is 83. So 18 plus 81, that's 99. 99 minus 16 is 83. That gives 83 minus 16 over 3, which is equal to 249 minus 16 all over 3, or when simplified further, this is 233 all over. Let's move on to example number 3. Evaluate the integral of the function y equals 3 over x dx from 1 to e. So first, let's write this into its integral form. The integral of 3 over x dx evaluated from 1 to e. Take note that we could rewrite this into 3 times 1 over x dx evaluated from 1 to e. Okay, so basing from this, which property can be applied? Which property are we going to apply for example number 3? Here we have a constant 3 and a function 1 over x. Yes, we shall make use of the fifth property. The fifth property, which says the integral of c f of x dx evaluated from a to b is simply equal to, pull this out or bring it out, c times the integral of f of x dx evaluated from a to b. Okay, and obviously, what function has this derivative? What function has the derivative 1 over x dx? What is the antiderivative of 1 over x dx? It's, okay, the natural logarithm of x. So please take note that the integral of dx over x is the natural logarithm of the absolute value of x. Okay, so now we can apply the fifth property here, pull out or bring out the constant 3, and then we integrate 1 over x dx and then evaluate it from 1 to e. Okay, so this is equal to 3 times, what is again is the antiderivative of 1 over x dx. It's the natural logarithm of the absolute value of x. So times ln of x evaluated from 1 to e. So this is now equal to 3 times ln of e minus, or the natural logarithm of e, absolute value of e, minus the natural logarithm of 1. Note also, one of the properties of the natural logarithms is that the natural logarithm of e is equal to 1. And also, the natural logarithm of 1 is equal to 0. So please do not forget all of these properties of logarithms. So we now continue. 3 times the natural logarithm of e is 1 minus the natural logarithm of 1 is 0. Okay? So the final answer would be 3.